This is the MHFI podcast with Carl Jensen and Doug Cunnington. We have authentic conversations about the journey to FI, health, happiness, and some very odd tangents. We interview FI experts, side hustlers, people on their way to FI, and those who have reached the other side. Join us every week, and if you want the show notes and links and all that other stuff, head over to milehfi.com. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the MHFI podcast. My name is Doug Cunnington, and today, Amberly Grant is co-hosting. How are you today?
I am great today. It's a Friday morning, afternoon at this point.
Yeah.
Life is good.
It is good. It's sunny out there. It's cold.
Yes.
The day that we're recording. Today, we're gonna catch up a little bit. So it's been a few weeks since we recorded last and we're able to sit down and chat with each other. Things have been going on. So there's a couple things we're going to go over. And we have a continuation of the Q&A mailbag from your audience, Amberly. These are exclusively, I think, unless we messed up, these are exclusively real estate questions. Mm-hmm. So I will be largely not helpful for these questions, but I'll be able to read them.
Yeah.
And then you'll answer them.
That's great. And then maybe you can be like, oh, that sounds terrible. Like, why would you want this life?
Yeah.
Good idea.
So we'll have the yin and yang thing going on here. So before we get into it, let's catch up a little bit. So what's been going on with you? Have you been busy?
My life is always busy. You know, like everyone's like, oh, busy shouldn't be a badge. I wear that badge with pride and sometimes with tears. So the other day, I had this crazy thing happen. So I look on Reddit, and on Reddit, there's a thread for Airbnb hosts. And some person posted on like maybe Saturday, about how there's a corporate midterm rental company that is offloading all of their units. And instead of them housing and storing all the furniture in those units and all the things in those units, they're selling them off. So I was like, I don't really need a bunch of stuff, although like we have a new house and I need some nightstands, and I probably have like maybe a couple $100. Like I wanted a toaster, like things I haven't bought. And I thought, you know what, I'll just go check it out. They said between $1,750 per unit to $2,300, depending on what's in the unit and how many bedrooms. And so I was like, $2,300, like I don't really need to spend that much money on things. Like I can go and just like Facebook Marketplace and Goodwill things, and it'll be less than that. So fine. All right. I decided that I'm going to fill out the form anyways, because I'm just kind of a yes person. As we already know, don't invite me to things because I will say yes. And so I just did it. And then on Monday, they called me. And so he's like, hey, here's the guy from this corporate rental company. My name's Hudson. Like, are you interested in the unit? I said, yeah. He's like, why don't you go look at it today? And then you can decide if you want it. Then we'll take a deposit from you, and then you have to go clear it out. And it has to all be done by Friday. So great. I decide like, okay, yeah, I'll go look at the unit. Never looked at the unit. I was like, whatever. Talk to my partner. $2,300 is too much. We're not going to do it. This guy Hudson calls me the next day or texts me. He goes, hey, Amberly, from a turn of events, that unit that you were going to look at is still available. Are you interested? And I go like, hey, you know what? If you're willing to do a concession on price, then I'm willing to like get it out by Friday. So I say, hey, will you do it for $1,200 instead of $2,300? And then he calls me like within 2 minutes. And he goes, I'm going to do you one better. If you can get everything out by tomorrow, this is Tuesday. So Wednesday afternoon,
Really?
If you can get everything out by tomorrow, I'll give it to you for $1,000.
Wow.
So then I look at my partner. I'm like, this is at 4:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, find a fucking U-Haul. We're going to get this unit. So $1,000. I pay the invoice because they send you an invoice. Yeah. I'm like, if this is a scam, I paid it on a credit card. So at least I can get my money back. We're good. And so I ended up renting a U-Haul within an hour, a 20-foot U-Haul, calling one of my tenants and being like, hey, I'll pay you $20 an hour, including travel time, if you meet us at this unit to help move all this furniture. He's like, yep, in. He ended up getting a free TV out of it because there was 3 TVs in this unit. And like you can sell a TV for $100, you know, on Facebook. It's like not worth it. Like giving a free TV to someone is like really exciting. So he took a free TV. He also got a lamp. He broke one. But anyways, we show up at the unit. It's the most high end. So first of all, it's a 2 king bed unit and you have to take everything in it. So it's everything in the bathroom, 2 bedrooms, the other bathroom, the living room, and everything in the kitchen. And it's fully furnished. Wow. So like for $1,000, I have 2, like I can just sell the king beds and the bed frames for $1,000 on Facebook Marketplace and recoup all my money. So yeah, so I've got 4 nightstands, couch, side tables, lamps, all the dishware. So we don't have matching cutlery. And it's literally been our thing of like, when we're rich one day, like we're going to buy cutlery that matches. And so now we have matching cutlery. I've been wanting a toaster, but I didn't want to spend the $30 on a toaster. So I haven't bought a toaster. I wanted a new mop because like I've got like one of those like ones that like squeeze and they're just terrible. I wanted one that like was just kind of easy for like these laminate floors I have, and got them. And I was looking at Bed Bath & Beyond the other day because they're like a lot of their stores are closing. And I was like, I don't want to spend like $40 on a mop, even on sale. A trash can. I have one of those plastic shitty trash cans I've had for years, and it's like kind of like darker, you know, from just like food being, I've wiped it down a million times, whatever. Now I have a stainless steel like side-by-side recycling end.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Classy.
Like these are all these like the smallest things. This isn't even like the couch that was nice. It's all commercial furniture. So it's all like really sturdy, like great cushions.
Wow.
Anyways, $1,000 for this entire unit. And we like knocked it out in like 3 hours. My baby who like came in the car with like this poor child. I don't know what family he signed up to be in, but whatever. He's like sleeping in the room the entire time because of his bedtime. And like we were hoping that he could sleep, you know? And so like it's like we're just like moving him from one king room to the other king room, just depending on what we need to work on. And then So we did it from like 5 p.m. We left to go get like 5:45 maybe we left to get the truck. Got there at like 7 because it was in Broomfield. Loaded the truck. It took 3 hours. Ended at like, so by the time like my tenant came over, it was like 7:45. We started. Ended everything at 10:30. We left the unit at 11 o'clock, had to send a bunch of pictures to make sure everything was gone. And there was a snowstorm the next day, so it was really important to get everything out. And then unloaded this 2-bedroom apartment into our garage. So we had to organize the garage. Yeah.
Damn. And so you did it all that night?
Yeah. We didn't unload that night. We left it in the U-Haul. And then we actually called U-Haul, and they were telling us because of the storm, we could extend it maybe by a little bit. So we actually got it extended like 12 hours. So we had to return it at 1 o'clock, not 6.
That's insane. Yeah, I was just thinking, number one, I usually go to bed at like 8:30 or something like that. So just imagining like doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
packing up an entire 2-bedroom apartment.
That you weren't planning on.
No.
You know? I like manage my energy for the full day, you know? So like by then I'm like, oh, I can't do anything after like 6 or so.
We were exhausted. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But what a deal. That's insane.
Yeah.
And I was doing the math and I was like, it wasn't the day before the snowstorm. So I guess, I wonder, I'm curious the story of like why they were like, we got to get this shit out of here as soon as possible. I guess, I don't know. My assumption is their leases have ended. I didn't know if they were doing like the Airbnb arbitrage. Obviously they were, where they like rent a unit and then like rent out that room and that unit for corporate rentals is what they were saying. Right.
And I mean, it was all across the country. They were liquidating everything.
Damn.
Yeah. And so they said that each unit, like the original price of the unit would be 3 to like 5 times more as what they originally bought it for. So that $2,300. So that unit's worth at least $10,000 of stuff. And it was like in pristine condition. I mean, like it's a white couch with 0 stains on it. I don't know how many, they said everything had been bought within 4 to 20 months.
Wow.
And this is clearly like bought within the past year.
Yeah. And I guess I haven't been put up in a corporate place, but I had some friends that were on long-term projects back in the day. And I mean, they have a per diem typically. They're eating out all the time.
Yes.
And they're probably not really using the kitchen too much and they're not sitting around. They're like doing stuff or working the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah. They're working or exploring or going out to eat, like you said. And I mean, the kitchen was, again, everything was pristine. The glasses were awesome. I just could not believe, I thought it would be, I didn't know what it would be like. And I actually went back to the thread after I said yes to see if like anyone had written on it because it was like empty. And one person had been like, yeah, I got it in Baltimore. It's really high quality stuff. So I was like, all right, I guess like this is going to be good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it's all in your garage right now. Do you have a spot for the stuff?
Yeah. So we have a 2.5 car garage. And so thankfully we have a bunch of stuff from our move we haven't put into our house yet because we're still working on everything in the house. So we organized that first. My partner organized that first, thankfully. And then we unloaded everything together from the truck and put some of the stuff inside the house. So like our living room area is just filled with things right now. And then I have friends who are coming up who I've already have friends who are dibsing things to buy from me.
Okay.
So perfect.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. And anything else with it? Should we move on to the next topic?
No, I'm just like this is my life. It's like I have such like cool, weird shit that happens, and it happens because I just say yes. So like, I don't know. Go watch that movie Yes Man, guys, and get out there.
So a callback to one of our other episodes was my whole life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So to recap, people, I got some bad investing advice when I was like 24, 25. I got a whole life policy. You could check out the episode to hear a little bit more of the story, but it's kind of been on my list to like maybe close the account, maybe not. I don't really know. I haven't looked at it. I was still paying like $156 per month into it for the last 20 or I guess 18 years.
Yeah.
So 18 years. And I chatted with you and we actually logged onto my account. You looked at a couple things and basically you were like, yeah, you can close it. It looks like maybe you'll, break even, maybe you lose a little money, but you're out. So after a couple days, I looked to see if I could call whoever is like managing my account, the people earning commissions over the last many years. And I looked and I tried to call in and it was like, leave a message. And I was like, fuck that. I hated those guys. I won't use the name of the company, but it's kind of like Southeastern Mutual.
Yeah.
Super similar to that. And yeah, I hated those guys. This is entertainment. This is not financial advice.
Yeah.
And it's just a story that I'm telling you. So instead of calling them, I called the corporate group and I was like, close account. I ended up in their, I guess, customer retention group because they know I'm trying to pull my money out. And it was pretty smooth, mostly. I was like, I want to do this. They said there's a form you have to sign, a couple other things, but they do have a speech to try to retain you.
Got it.
Luckily, now I have like ice water running through my veins or whatever. So they were like, well, if you close it, you are not earning interest. And this is an investment and like you're losing money by not continuing to pay into it. And they go through a couple other things, but basically they're trying to play on like the loss aversion, cognitive bias. So a couple other things related to that. And I like let her do her thing. I came back with basically this, it doesn't matter. I'm going to close it regardless. That was a really good speech that you gave. But then you
were not swayed by the speech.
Yeah. I was like, that's very good.
Yeah.
They were like, did you talk to your agents? And I was like, no, I actually don't want to talk to them. I got really bad advice from them. And the thing that got her, I think, is when I said, I've been managing my own money and I've been outperforming the investment the whole time. I don't need life insurance and I don't want life insurance.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me it's an investment, I'm doing better. So I don't have any interest in keeping the account open.
Yeah.
And then she said, why? She was silent for like 20 seconds. That's another thing I've gotten good at.
Yes. Staying silent when people are silent.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
It's for negotiations.
Yes.
Like, shut the fuck up. Like people will talk themselves into trouble or whatever. But she was silent for a while and said, I don't really know how to respond to that. And I was like, I don't expect you to. And I was like, send me the paper. I'll sign it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I got $30K back. I think looking at the investment, unless I messed it up in my crude calculations, I think I earned about 4%.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a complete loss. There are some gains, right? About 4%. So I was going to have to pay taxes on that, which was expected, but obviously that's better than like continuing to invest in something that's shitty.
Yes.
So I got the $30K back and it took about a week.
That's awesome. Are you going to refinish your basement?
No immediate plans.
Excellent. Good job.
But
with
thanks.
the windfall, you don't want to have any, you don't want to like jump into something.
Right. However, that leads me to a couple other stories. So one, I thought I was actually going to get an infrared sauna.
Oh. Oh.
which I love sauna, and we were going to put one down here and like do some wiring in the basement, blah, blah, blah. But one side story is my free gym at the old apartment that I've been quietly walking into. My friend, she's like the general manager. She was like, I'm being transferred. I'm moving. Like, I don't know if you're going to be able to get in. I have no clue. They're supposed to staff it, but I don't know. I'll be in and out of here, but just wanted to give you a heads up. So my free gym might be going away. The reason why it's relevant is the rec center is right over here, which we've talked about before. Apparently our significant others saw each other. John saw Elizabeth, and she didn't recognize him at first because his hair was pulled back, right? So, so she was like, I didn't recognize him, but he looks so nice and friendly.
He is Canadian.
Yeah. So anyway, it all ties together. I was going to use some of the money to buy a sauna, but if I eventually have to go join the rec center, there's a great sauna there. Have you checked that one out?
I haven't yet because I'm on baby duty and we switch off, right? So I cannot wait to go alone so I can go to the saunas. Got
it. It's great. Yeah. So I even got Elizabeth into it a little bit. So pretty nice down there. And I've used like a punch pass. So actually when I did the math, right? So a sauna is going to cost like a few $1,000. Mm-hmm. I can get like it's like a 20 card pass for like $100 or something like that. I could be off a little bit, but basically I can go use the gym occasionally. Yeah. And in the long run, I mean, I would have to like use the sauna continuously every day for many, many years for it to actually be cheaper to buy a sauna. And that one's always hot at the gym. Here, I would have to heat it up and blah, blah, blah. So looking at the convenience versus like a slight difference in cost and like long-term investment versus like one-time use, the rec center is awesome. It's so close.
Yes.
So...
And you can do like the couples pass, which is like $712. So if you're looking at it, that's what, $355 for just your portion of it for the year. And you can go as often as you want.
Right.
So then that's great. The one thing you have to think is like, you know, you do have to go to the rec center versus walking downstairs.
Right.
But you work out anyways, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And you have time.
And it's, I mean, it's so close. Like it's actually, the rec center is actually closer than the apartments.
Right.
From here. Perfect. I live in a really like good spot.
Yeah. And you have like Costco about to come in. Oh, you're lucky. Lucky duck.
Yeah. The other thing, and I'll tell it faster so we can answer these other questions. So part of the money is going to go to some healthcare costs that I incurred. So I didn't tell the full story when you and I were together, but I told it on one recent episode to Carl. So I passed out on New Year's Eve and bumped my head, smashed my tooth. My tooth is turning black. My beautiful smile is now tarnished. So I got the ER bill. Do you want to guess how much it is? Did I already tell you?
No, you haven't. So I'll guess. Like health insurance?
Yeah, health insurance. And I could tell you the like before and then what I have to cover.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to say before $32,000. And then what you have to cover is, I don't know, based on your deductible. So like, let's say like $4,000. Okay.
So luckily it wasn't that much. Okay. Well, I was thinking maybe like $1,500, $2,000. But here's that's what I was thinking. But before insurance, it was supposedly like for just the ER visit. Yeah. So actually, I'll break it down. There's an ER portion. There's the ER doctor. Yeah. There's a radiologist. So I had a EKG and a CT scan. Yeah. And maybe one other doctor thrown in there too.
Does that include the stitching up?
Yeah. So it does. They actually didn't have to stitch it.
Oh, okay. Right.
They just like cleaned it off really good. Okay. So just the ER was $6,700. Okay. Insurance covered $3,700. Mm-hmm. And we have a deductible of $3,000. So we had a high deductible plan. Funny thing, we upgraded our insurance for this year. And the very next day, just 8 hours later, it would have been $250. That would have been it.
Damn it.
I know.
Yeah. Right. It's New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So yeah, totally sucked.
Yeah.
But then there's a couple other bills coming in, $20 here, $20 there. I think those are a few $100s each, but insurance covered a decent chunk. There's one more bill that should come in, which I have no clue like how much that'll be. I think it'll be from the radiologist maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
And they make good money. So
could be, yeah. And they just looked at it and they were like, yeah, he didn't die. He's not bleeding from his head.
Yeah.
And they looked at it the next day too. Like I'm getting bills for the next day.
Yeah.
So that's one portion. The other part, so I went to the dentist. I didn't get an estimate yet, but eventually I'll have to get a root canal. I will get, again, my tooth is turning like black or gray or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's my front tooth. So I will get that fixed.
Yes.
I was like, I'll leave it for a bit, but I was like, fuck it. I'm going to get that fixed. So I'll get a root canal, get a whatever veneer or cap or whatever. I don't know what they call it. Yeah. I haven't got the estimate for that yet. And I'll probably today I'll check with the, I was about to say vet,
right?
But the dentist. Yeah. I'm actually going to get it cheaper. I'm going to go to my dog's vet and it's going to be super sharp, but it's going to be like half the cost.
Yeah. Yank.
So I think it'll be like $3,000 though.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I seem to overestimate. So I'm going to go over like 10. No, 3. Yeah. I think 3. Yeah.
3. So a chunk of the money will go for that. Yeah. And then the final piece of my, the things that I've been up to is all related to money though. So I usually don't have money stories. I maxed out my solo 401k. So there have been some episodes where I'm like, I'm not contributing because it doesn't make sense for us to, like, we're trying to distribute money to, a Roth or the solo 401k and then the taxable brokerage account. So we have options. Everything's not based on like maximal tax benefits. Yeah. So we're trying to spread it around. But this past year was a good time to max it out. And with the little extra money, again, going back to some topics we've talked about in the past, tax laws are really weird. So I can contribute to my solo 401k until I file taxes the next year, like to, April 15th or whenever I file. Yeah. So I had some money and I was like, market's down. It's a good time to throw it in. And for people that don't know, like with the solo 401k, you contribute as the employee, which has the normal limit. 2022 is $20,500. So I max that out. But you could also contribute as the employer.
Yes.
Which is, I think you can contribute 25% of the salary that you're paid. So I pay myself, whatever, say like $80K or something like that. It has to be like competitive. You can't like lowball too much.
Yes.
But I was able to put in, say, like another 20K. So I put in almost 40K into my solo 401k this year while the market's down. Yeah. So it was like, great time to do it. In a couple years, that'll be a smart decision.
Yep. You'll be patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Good job, old Doug.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
This is all really good updates. And it's nice getting a windfall like this. You've been kind of having this like forced savings account that you actually recouped, had a little bit of a additional money on, 4%. And now you get to do something with it, which is going to be great for your future. So I think this is a really good outcome for having this account for 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah. And thanks for pushing me a little bit and just talking about it. And then like slight accountability, you know, with other people hearing about it. Yeah. So, okay. Ready to hit the real estate questions here?
Let's do this.
Okay. Thanks everyone who sent these in. This one is from JM, I believe. I
you're right.
Guess.
Jonathan. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jonathan says, if and how did you decide on the right number of rental properties to own and what are the primary factors?
Okay. So one of the ways you can figure out what's the best number of properties is actually go by how much your properties are making. So if you have a goal for passive, it's not passive, IRS passive income, you can keep buying houses until you hit that. So some people, it's $10,000 they want every single month of net income from the property. And so you literally just keep buying houses until you hit that. You could also just say, I only want a handful of houses because I don't want the responsibility of 10 or 15 houses to get to that $10,000. So I just want a little bit of extra money and equity later on that I can cash out. So for me, how I decided was, I like didn't really make a conscious choice, but I love the idea of having 2 properties, like, and then like slowly getting them every couple of years. So for me, it's kind of like a timeline thing. Like every 2 years, I probably buy a property. My properties make way and above and beyond what normal just 2 properties make. So when it comes to cash flow, like I feel totally comfortable with what I've got. And yeah, so I would say those are the 3 ways you can make the decision is how much cash flow do you want today? How many houses do you maybe just want to own in general for future equity and things like that? And yeah, it becomes easy though. So you keep buying more than you really need.
Okay. Is there some point, you hear this with maybe like management or like, maybe it's like network theory or something. So is there a point, maybe if you get 3 houses, like it's easily managed, but when you hit over 3 up to 9, then the scope of work changes. And then when you hit, I don't know.
15, right?
Yeah. So like, is there something like that where there's a good economy of scale? And then if you go beyond that, all of a sudden, like you're way too busy and you need to bring on a property manager?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think it depends, right? What is your day job? How are you good at, like, do you want to be a landlord, right? That's a question I always ask anyone when you come into rental properties. Do you even want to be a landlord? Because it's a big job and you're constantly dealing with people and their problems and problems of your house. So I know someone who's scaled up to like 30 houses in a year, but they just did turnkey. Like they have property management, the person who's fixing it up, and they just buy the house, do that, move on. That's how you can scale big quickly, is getting a team. If you want to do it yourself so you capture more of the money, but then you have the stresses of it like I do, but you can't scale as quickly because you have to manage everything, then you can do it one by one every couple of years. One thing to your point was, what is the number? It depends, right? Because if you hit that 10,000, say you want $10,000 a month, well, then you quit your job and now you're a full-time manager of your properties. Or you offload some of that and that's part of that cost to a property manager. And so you need more properties to hit that $10,000, but you're less hands-on. Mm-hmm. I do find, just FYI for people, managing a property manager is a job, right?
Yeah. Yep. Next part of the aversion to building up a real rental property portfolio is time, effort, and inevitable stress. What are some hacks and time savers for owning that many property rentals? Man, I really messed up the cadence there. I'm going to jump in before you answer this one. So it's okay to not do rental property or real estate. So I'm not a real estate person, and it's a great way to, leverage your money, build up equity, have cash flow. There's a lot of pros, but all the things that you mentioned are great reasons not to do it. So you don't have to. You can invest in whatever you want. Not whole life policies, I recommend, but I would say like index funds are pretty good. Your overall return might not be as great, but you don't have to deal with all the bullshit of real estate, of which some people love real estate agents, brokers, the whole crew. I don't like them that much. I don't trust them. They're salespeople. I hate them all. Not enough people say that, especially in this community. Everyone loves
hate them too.
Real estate. Yeah. Come on. They're like used car salesmen.
Like agents?
Yeah.
Like they literally have a perverse incentive. Like their incentive is like based on the amount of your house. And most of them, like, I'm sorry, a lot of the real estate agents I know should not be real estate agents. Like they just, could you like not find another job? Or like, I think it's just like you have to take a test and then you're this person.
Yeah.
Like I can't stand them.
So anyway, I have a bit of an aversion. So it's okay if you don't do real estate, but if you do decide that you want to do real estate, what are some strategies?
Yeah. I feel bad that I said I hate them. Okay, I don't hate all of you. It's just I find a lot of you just suck. So yeah, part of your aversion. Again, first question: do you want to be a landlord? Like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because everyone says to do this, or is it something you want to do? I know a lot of very wealthy people who own one single family home that's their home that they live in. Like they don't have a bunch of real estate and properties. So you have to decide if that's something that you want to pursue. What are some time savers and some hacks? Well, honestly, finding a team. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do. You're going to pay for it though. So the problem I have is things break in my property. So right now I have a broken dryer, and I've had a broken dryer, microwave, and I've had handymen come out and charge $650 to fix all these things. And literally they're still broken when they leave. And I'll be like, well, it's still broken. And they'll be like, well, it's another $75 for me to come out. And I'm like, but you never fixed the fucking thing. And then, yeah. And like finding a team can be really difficult. So I would say that's like my biggest hack would be finding people you can trust, who you can pay well to do the jobs, or live right beside them so you can do them, so that when you have time to like actually leave your real work, you can go work on those properties and, you know, get a membership to YouTube so you don't have commercials while you're trying to fix a dryer.
Okay. Let's do some quick hitters here.
Okay.
If you could have a do-over with something related to your real estate journey, what would it be? So this could be related to processes, finance, taxes, insurance, or anything.
Great question. I don't know. Everything's a learning process. So I guess the question is now that I've learned something, what would I do differently? I would have found a real estate agent the first time I bought my house. I thought the real estate agent was like seasoned, but he'd never even heard of a house hack. And like, this was before house hack term was really popular. This is years ago. And I just knew that I wanted to have like an income producing property so I didn't have to pay my own mortgage. And I should have found someone who does that type of real estate, who actually owned a property. This guy didn't even own a property. He's still renting, and is still renting today. So that's what I would have done, is found a real estate agent who actually does what I wanted to do, so I could have learned differently, and I didn't have to learn on the go as much as I did because he messed up a lot of things. Ended up overpaying for that property, whatever. Everyone thinks that's the case. I feel like I overpaid for the property I just bought in September as well. I did. It's fine. You recover, whatever. So I feel like those things are like, yeah, I'd pay less for the properties I own, but I don't know if I would have gotten them then, like to have lowballed them at that time. Taxes, get a CPA. It's amazing. Then you can have someone who does your taxes and you don't have to think about what the nuances of the law are. The thing I would change, actually, yeah, this is great. I would have kept track. I did huge renovations last year to all my Airbnbs, to a rental property, and I did not keep track of one single thing for the entire year. It took me 6 months to do my fucking taxes last year. Like literally, like I spent probably a good like 60 hours trying to figure out every single receipt and charge on my credit card and Venmo and all this stuff. And I would have kept track of that better. Highly recommend that.
Do you not have a separate credit card?
No. Terrible. I still need to separate all my business stuff and my personal stuff. I have like a business account, but not a business. Yeah. And I've like wanting to do like the chasing, because then I was like, oh, I need to get like, and it like get the spend bonus and stuff. I just haven't done it.
It's so easy. They want to give you a credit card.
I know.
Okay, so that would be one big thing. So I have a business, but yeah, like from the beginning,
yes.
I think it was only like a couple months that I had like commingled accounts, but I had a separate credit card, which was just a personal credit card that I wasn't using often.
Yeah.
So everything was very easy to extract.
Yeah, good for you, Doug.
I could just pull a report. So that would be a huge thing, because exactly what you described. You don't know until you run through it, and then like it's like second nature now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, I still need to do it. It's on my to-do list. I'll like write it down again. And yeah, it makes things so much easier. And I'm sure I missed things, right? Like that's the thing, is I probably missed a bunch of transactions that I would have lowered my tax bill, and I didn't get them. So
right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
What's the best or most important advice you'd have for someone just getting started in their real estate journey?
Just do it. So many people like run the numbers and try and what happens if global warming and I need to find something in Minnesota because they have lakes? Who fucking cares? Just do it. Go buy a house.
All right. Perfect. Where is the best place to obtain an application for all your future tenants? There's so many options that I'm not sure what's best. There's BiggerPockets, Apartment.com, an attorney, pre-made, ChatGPT maybe. I don't know.
Totally. So, okay, I'm going to suggest two things to do here. One, get one online. You can do like BiggerPockets, Apartment.com, doesn't matter. The rental application doesn't matter as much as your lease. So if you're putting time and attention to a rental application, this is that like you're overthinking something, so you don't actually have to make a change or do something. The rental application is literally you just want their information. You want access to their social security so you can run a credit check. So, you need a signature on there. You need to have, who's going to be renting, what's their first and last name, how many people, do they have pets, what is their, making sure that they attach some sort of income statement so that you can see how much they make. The application is nothing. It's the least that you want to do because that's your protection.
Okay. Perfect. Did you use any creative strategies when buying properties? If so, how did you set those up? And was it using a bank as a lender for each property? Blah, blah, blah. So you get the idea.
When it comes to financing, there's all different ways of doing like quote unquote creative financing, right? So you can do like a traditional bank using a broker so they can find the best deal between different banks and institutions who are going to give you the money for your property. You can do hard money loans. So everything has an up and down. Hard money loans are going to come with a very high interest rate and a really quick payback period. So you want to use those sparingly or have a plan if you're going to use that. You can use personal, like friends and family money. So I have a friend right now who's buying an investment property. She's using $400,000. So 200 of two different friends of ours to buy this property, and then getting an interest-only loan for 1 year, and then we'll pay them back, once they kind of technically refinance at that point. So we'll be financing it for the first time. So there's ways of doing it that way. More than likely, you don't have friends who are going to invest $200,000 into your property. Because first of all, if this is your first property, I don't know if you can run a property. Like I would not give you a dime until I know that you can actually make a return on your property. So that's like future down the line. What you're more than likely going to do for your first property is just literally take your W-2 income. What is your debt to income ratio? Work with a bank or some sort of broker, lender, and then, get the best interest rate based on your credit score and just buy your first property. For me, after I bought my first property, I had equity in that property. So then I used a HELOC, a home equity line of credit that I had to help purchase my second property. The thing with a home equity line of credit is a variable interest rate. So with this environment right now, my interest rate went from 3.5% to is now at 8% for this HELOC. Thankfully, I saw the writing on the wall, so I paid the $40,000 off early last year when interest rates were starting to rise, and I was like, I'm not paying this. So the home equity line of credit is going to be variable, so you're not going to be able to really understand what your expenses are in the future. So that was my most creative financing, was that I did have people offer me money by the second property because they could see that I could run really good numbers for what I buy. And so I had people offering me $10,000, like 4 different people if I needed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So have you found a property management software of choice, or in the past, it's like I can't read, good Lord. Or in the past, if you've already switched to using property management?
Yeah. So I manage all my properties myself. So first of all, I don't use a property manager. I do have experience with a couple property managers because I just like friends ask me questions. There are good ones, there are bad ones, fine. But have I found a property management software of choice? No, because I am terrible at keeping my finances for my business and my personal finances separate. So I have heard really good things about Avail. I don't know, like there's different ones out there, have different needs because do you have 1 property, 2 properties, 3? That's different types of software. So I guess I can't really give any advice when it comes to software. I've just heard of Avail.
Okay.
I will say this actually. Zillow has an awesome platform now that if you put your rental on there, they can do the rental application. They can also do a lease for you. I wouldn't do a lease from anywhere online if you haven't had a lawyer check it over, because you want to make sure you're protected. And every state and city is different with their laws. But there are Zillow's doing really cool things when it comes to managing your property.
What about maintenance requests and tracking and responding?
Thanks for the text message, tenants. That's how I get them. So yeah, someone tells me what's going on. I tell them like, hey, great, we'll get to it this day or at this time. So I just had a dishwasher go, it's been on the fritz, I guess, for a while. So they told me, hey, Amberly, it's not really working the best. I asked what's going on with it. They tell me, and then I try and found a replacement motor, but the motor was like $350. So I ended up just buying a brand new dishwasher and installing that. Same thing with the dryer at another place. It wasn't starting. It was like intermittent starting. So I was like, that sounds like the starter in general. So we went over, checked it. Turns out, it was just getting stuck at the back. And so we were like, hey, I'll get it to you by next week. And then for me, maintenance is dependent on what the thing is. If it's a flood, I'm there right away. If it's a dryer, like I literally was like, hey, the railing upstairs is a great place to dry your clothes for the next week till I can get there on the weekend.
Got it.
Yeah.
What about animals? Do you allow animals on property?
God, no. So there are laws. You have to let, not an emotional support animal. People think that there's emotional support animals protected by law, but not in Colorado, thank God. But the support, ESA, is it? Not emotional support animal.
It's like a
service animal. You have to allow that on your property.
Right.
And that's great because they're normally very well behaved, and that's fine. So animals, I never allow cats. Cats pee and mark territory, especially vents. They love to pee in the vents. I have cleaned up a property who allowed 2 cats and a dog, and you will get scratch marks everywhere. It's just, I prefer not. If I do, I will charge a monthly fee. So, okay, I did go against what I said, where I did have a cat and 2 dogs at my property because I really loved my tenant and I let him do that and keep his dog. And then he had a friend who had a dog, and I was like, all right, I trust you all. It worked out well. But I do charge an initial fee. So every city is different with what you can charge. I had a pet fee. So it's like $150 for a cat, $200 for a dog. They don't get that back. I don't do a monthly rent for the pets. You can do it that way as well. And then deposit for animals. You can do a separate deposit for animals, but I actually just do it all in one deposit because then you don't have a certain limit on what you can take from this bucket versus that bucket. I just take it all from one bucket.
Got it. Okay. Any favorite real estate investing book that you would recommend?
Yes. If it's your very first time, Mindy Jensen and Scott Trench have a book. I'm trying to think what it's called right now. I haven't read it, but I've given it to my mentees, so the people who are part of my mentorship program, and they think it's funny and informative, and it's a really great real estate book. I can't remember what it's called. It's got like a little keys on the front.
We'll link up to it.
Yeah, please do. I think that's great for first-time investors.
All right. Last question here. What kind of investing for real estate are you currently involved in? And why did you get started in each one of those? And they gave some options like long-term, short-term, storage units, etc.
Yeah. So right now I do long-term, short-term hybrids. So my places are duplexes and they have the same address. So I can legally have a short-term rental on the bottom and a long-term rental on top. My long-term renters, the whole reason I do this is they actually get to make a lot of their rent back by cleaning my short-term rentals. So I give them a totally amazing wage for a 35-minute cleaning. You know, they do deep cleans from time to time. So they make, honestly, sometimes half their rent in cleanings a month, and it takes them no time. So I love that like long-term, short-term hybrid. I always buy properties that have dual income. So if something gets something happens, I still can rely on something else on the property making something. So with the short-term rental though, that's like I call it like the cash cow, which also means that it might not be available forever, which it isn't. So from there, I'll go to midterm rentals. So those are nurse rentals. Those I find a little bit, you make less money than a short-term. You don't have to manage them as often. But you also have gaps between because they're normally 3-month like things. So you normally have like a week or 2 in between the next one. So I find your vacancies are really high when it comes to the midterm rentals, but they still make better money than a long-term. And then my last thing is a long-term rental. If, midterm market's going to shit, short-term market's going to shit, I just get a long-term renter in there. Storage units, I do not do. I have a moral thing with storage units. Mm-hmm. So many people love it. It's really good money, I hear. I just picked up a U-Haul 2 days ago, as I mentioned. And there was a storage unit. I don't think people need that much shit to store. And I have a problem with storage unit things. I get it if you're in a city and you're like in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had a friend who had a storage unit that was like near the city where he could like keep his skis and things. Like I'm really down for that. But I find them really predatory and like you don't know the fees. I had a friend who had a storage unit and like I guess her credit card had expired and she was in Australia. She didn't realize it. They never contacted her. They sold off her unit when she came to town. Had everything she had. Like she wasn't in contact with her parents. So it was like her grandmother's jewelry that her grandma had given her was all in the storage unit and it was gone. And they're like, we tried to contact you. And she's like, I have no emails. I have no messages. You never tried to contact me. And they're like, oh, it's gone. And they've done like a storage wars, right? Where they like, you just bid it. And
that's nuts.
Yeah. And so I just like, I don't know, morally, I just like have a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think about storage units?
I think I also have a little problem with it. Not exactly maybe as strong as you mentioned, but yeah, like people, I didn't realize the predatory practices, but it kind of makes some sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does sound pretty profitable, but I think of like our nice, they're building them all over the fucking place. So I think of like the nice mountain views that we can have, except for the storage units that are air controlled and whatever the fuck right there. And they're all over the place. Yeah. Again, I could appreciate like if you're in a city, like we had a storage unit when we were doing some traveling and we sold our place, like we put everything in there and like that's what we needed at the time.
Yeah.
Other times we lived in smaller places where we actually needed to overflow I have like some hobbies that take up some space, like brewing equipment. So I would like keep stuff there because it wouldn't fit in the apartment that we were in Atlanta.
Yeah. And like, that's where I guess I feel like I have some that I agree with, right? Like having it for a short-term reason, but more often than not, it's because people just don't want to do the work to get rid of the sentimental things that they have in their life. And so then their storage unit ends up costing more than all the items inside of it. And that's the problem, right? Is that it lets people hold on to things that they really should just get rid of.
Yep. And it eventually, actually during the move, I got rid of a lot of stuff because I was like, I may be able to use that in the future, which is like what I always would do. Yeah. But then I realized it's actually cheaper to like donate that or sell it and then buy a new one if I need one, which I probably won't realize that I need the whatever. I don't know. I can't think of anything. But
And I'm actually in this dilemma because I have a 2.5 car garage. I have the ability to store things myself, right? And so I have my own storage unit. And I noticed with this big getting 2 bedroom sets, I was like, well, maybe I should keep this really nice king bed frame. It's like beautiful, tufted, like, fabric for this king bed. And I was like, I should keep it for like our next house. And then I had this epiphany in the shower. I'm like shampooing my hair. And I was like, Amberly, this is like you're hoarding. That's that scarcity mindset I have from my childhood of like, but if I hold on to the nice things, then maybe I can use them one day and like I won't have to buy them and make that choice. And I was like, what if I just let it go? What if I just, for whatever it will, I'll make the $400 for that really nice bed frame that would cost me like $800 or $1,000 to rebuy later in the future. But that $400 can go towards something now, and I don't have to keep track of that item. So I'm actually trying to practice this scarcity, like letting go of the scarcity mindset for this new crazy amount of furniture I have in my house and get rid of it all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. I think we hit all of the questions. Did we miss anything, Amberly? Did we touch them all?
We got them all. Great questions, guys. Again, this is awesome. And I'm hoping that we give you a little bit of perspective. I am not an expert. I'm just someone who has stumbled my way through this and have learned a lot of great lessons. And I have really smart people around me that I've learned from.
Thanks for your help. And thanks for getting all the great questions. So I guess we don't have anything scheduled yet, but we'll have you back on soon, and we're at the time limit today, so we got a jet. So thanks, Amberly. Where can people find you? AmberlyGrant.com and Instagram, AmberlyGrant, and all the other things are Amberly Grant. My name's pretty unique, so it's kind of easy to find all the @ symbols for me. Perfect. We'll link up to it, and we'll see you next time. All right. Peace out. Thanks for listening to the show. That was the Mile High 5 podcast, and I'm Doug Cunnington, the balder host, and Carl Jensen is the cool, sexy one. If you dig the show, please do 3 things for us. Number 1, tell a friend, a family member, an enemy about the show. We really don't care who you tell. Maybe forward them a specific show that you know that they will like. It's the single most helpful thing that you can do to spread the word. It's like giving us a virtual high five, and actually we don't give high fives in person, so the virtual kind's pretty good. And more importantly, your friend or family member or even your enemy will appreciate the fact that you were thinking of them. Number 2, make sure you're following or subscribed on your podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, YouTube, whatever you're using, and that way you won't miss a show. And number 3, please leave us a rating and review. We read them on the show occasionally, and you might hear yours out there on an upcoming episode. Quick disclaimer, this show is not financial or legal advice. I'd actually be surprised if it sounded like it. It's really just for entertainment, and that's at least what we're hoping for. But seriously, get advice from professionals. Carl and I are just 2 guys with microphones that sit in my basement and talk. So we'll catch y'all next week. What kind of work do you do?
Well, I do project management for a technology company. So I'm a senior project manager. It's a financial and accounting software. And so it's companies that are growing, need to get off like QuickBooks or Peachtree or one of those really easy accounting softwares. And so they come to us because we can do much more robust reporting, help them with financials, planning for the future, which those are more just like look back type software. And so my job is that new logo. So people who come into our company need to be put onto our software. And so me and my team do that.
So you like manage the migration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. And then how did you get into project management?
Well, at the end of university, I had no idea what to apply for. Like people are applying to Deloitte for consulting and things like that. And I didn't know what to do. And there was a little self-sabotage there as well. And I had a teacher who I loved. She actually reached out to me and said this job, it was a project manager position for my old company, would be perfect for you. Like all my soft skills, all the things. And so I was like, great, this is the one job I'm going to apply for after college. And I got it. And it turns out I'm really good at it. So it literally suits every skill I've learned from traveling the world, talking to people, managing things, people, life.
Cool. And funny enough, that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I accidentally did project management. Similar, I didn't get a job like directly out of school. So it took like a few weeks. Most people were recruited like the previous fall or whatever.
I know.
The really good people. And then kind of weird. I lean on this maybe too much. I went to Georgia Tech, which is an engineering school, pretty good one. And the grades are lower than the other state schools. So by a pretty decent margin, or at least it was like 25 fucking years ago, right? Yeah. But like the grades are just lower. Yeah. So like to make dean's list is like pretty impressive, but like at other schools, it may not be that impressive. If you just show up to class, like kind of do your work, like you're probably going to be all right. Yeah. Not all schools are like that, but my GPA was fine, but it was not high enough for like most companies that were recruiting and hiring and making those offers. So anyway, I ended up at a consulting company, and then they kind of shuffle you around. Did you end up doing any other jobs like, testing or like business requirements or any kind of business analyst? Did you do anything else or just PM work?
No, just PM. I actually had no interest in doing any consultant roles. And
got it.
Yep.
Okay. So I did a bunch of different roles, and I had like a software background. So I did a bunch of different stuff, and then eventually got into PM work, which it was mostly fine. It sounds like you're doing stuff that's a little bit different, but it was like software updates for the company's software for like back-end billing software. Yep. So it was like 3 or 4 releases per year. Yep. And it kind of sucked.
Yeah. We have a team that does that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 4 releases per year.
Yeah. It was probably exciting for like a year or two, but then after a while, it's like the same stuff over and over again. Everything's like last minute. Yeah. The scope's too big for every release. And you're like, didn't we learn last time? And
You're not going to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. For me, thankfully, my job is repetitive in the sense it's like the same type of outline, but every customer is different. Every data is different. The consultants you work with, like the pairing of the consultants, we only have like maybe 6 consultants, but everyone has their own personalities you need to manage and motivate. So yeah, I love what I do.
Yeah, that's cool. And I never would have said like I loved what I was doing. But I did get my PMP, and I do keep that active just because it's such a pain in the ass to get it. So are you interested in doing that, or is that still something anyone cares about?
I haven't had to. And from my understanding, most tech companies now at this point don't really even screen for that. And so if I can avoid it, I will avoid it forever.
Yeah.
Like it's a ton of work to get that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I got it in like 2008. So yeah, it's not too bad to like keep it up.
Yeah, I would keep it up if I had it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to put all the paperwork to get it.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.